Hey YouTube, what's going on? Team Phantasma coming at you with another Force Wheel deck profile. So, I've been kind of like a little inconsistent with uploads lately. It's just because I'm working and other obligations. So, usually I'll be trying to do recording and stuff on my days off now. So, just to be expected that I'm maybe not be able to do as many, it's more like a weekly basis kind of thing. But yeah, anyways, let's just get straight into it. So this is a deck that I have now used twice at locals now in a row, and I came second each time. This deck definitely has some hard matchups, and because of the color combination, which is red and blue with a little bit of splash of yellow from the side, I find it very hard in a very control-based meta. Because I think control is the strongest part of Force of Will at the moment in the meta. So I feel like this deck kind of like struggles against stuff like that. But the side deck is very important with this deck, and I'm going to show the side deck off in this video as well. But yeah, let's just get straight into it. So first off, we are using Shion as our ruler. The first week that I rang this, I actually chose to use Mercurius as my ruler. Instead of Shion. But the second week I decided to change up my build and go with Shion instead. And the second time going, I still came second, same with Mercurius, but I like this build better. I felt like I had better matchups, and I felt like it was just more consistent because it's Shion, obviously. So she lets me look at the top card of my deck anytime I want. When I flip, reveal the top card. If it's a total cost 5 or less resonator, I can put it into my field. And then still look at the top card at any time I want. Goddard is really relevant, I find. She boosts herself by 5/5 and then deals damage equal to her attack to target. I think, I'm not sure if it's J Resonator or just Resonator. I'll have to look that up. I'm fairly sure it's J Resonator, but do not quote me on that. This is not in English, so I can't confirm that at the moment. I'm fairly sure it's J Resonator, but I could be wrong. So yeah, Shion is the ruler. One of my favorite rulers to add. So before we go into the main deck, I will go over the stones real quick, and then move on from there. So stone outline it's fairly simple. It's just 4 Hearth's Core, just to cover the red and blue aspect, and then complement it with the side supplementary options of light vapors for the yellow and blue. And yellow is not main decked, it's only in the side deck, but it's very important. And then 2 Heat Ray to cover up the little bit of light and red coverage right there. So yeah, stone lineup, I think it's just there to cover everything, nothing fancy or anything, just 10. But yeah, let's go straight into the main deck. So first off, we got 4 Ruck Egg. Ruck Egg is just my one of my 1-drops just for incarnate targets, searching ability of fire resonators, and deck thinning and draw power. It's just Ruck Egg is Ruck Egg. It shouldn't need much more explaining than that. It's good. If I had to give a name to this deck, I'd probably say it'd be Shion's 12 Apostles or Shion's Minions, probably. I like to give my decks a little bit of a name or something, just to give it a little bit of flair. So I'd probably title this Shion's 12 Apostles or Shion's Minions. I'll have to think on that. But yeah. This is a pretty interesting deck. It has a couple of quirky mechanics in it, and I just like the flow and the ideas that came with it. So yeah. So next up we got 4 Alice's Little Scout. Basically it just lets you keep replenishing your hand and gives you more targets for incarnation, like I said, as well as more draw power. So why not? Next up, we got 3 Guinevere. More of your draw power engine, trying to thin your deck out with these, and then draw 2 discards. So yeah, in some situations in this deck, you actually would want to fuel your grave. So there's also that. But yeah, 3 Gwen, get the deck going, get the hand moving. Next up, we are playing 3 Cheshire Cat. The new one, obviously. And the new one is called The Mysterious World. Guide to the Mysterious World. Apologies. So, if you don't know what this card does, what it does is you can banish a card from your hand, and only once per turn. So during your opponent's turn and during your turn, you can either banish a card in your hand or take a card that was banished by this card's effect from your banish, from removed from the game, back to your hand. So, and what it does is that card that was removed from the game by Cheshire's effect, if they have symbol skill of flying, first strike, precision, or swiftness, she gains those symbol skills as also as an additional plus 100 for each card removed by this effect. So basically, you'll do combos with this card to set up your removed area for certain cards and spells and so on and so forth. Plus, turn 2, 7/7 swiftness is not bad at all. So puts pressure. So Cheshire at 3. And then we're running 2 Adon Brawley. It's just because you have so many targets for Incarnation, it's just you want to be able to run this to be able to get a nice body on the board, as well as deck thinning and hand replenishment, essentially. So, Adon Brawley is good at 2 of right there. I don't think I wouldn't want to change the number on the 2. I think 2 is fine. I wouldn't change it personally, but again, preference is always a thing. 2 Uther. In my original build, I was only running 1 Uther, but there's actually, like, I think almost every single game, I was like, I wish I had a second one of this. I wish I could be able to get this off again. So I bumped it up to 2, and I think it's working good now. So 2 is the right number. I felt like 1 was just not enough. I wanted to see it. I wanted to see its effect go off more than once. So 2 Uther is very, very nice. And then we are playing the 1 Lumia of the Frozen Casket. So this is the one basically is when she shifts, or you hardcast her from on the other side, which you probably should never do. Flip the card around. Your life becomes 4,000. You get to target a chant in your graveyard and add it back to your hand. So basically reset your life and get something back from grave, like a chant. So yeah, just there to keep the game going, essentially. Plus, you're running all the colors needed to shift her if you needed to hardcast her. But usually, if we want to shift her, we're using this little fella, Gil. Now you may say, wait a minute, he's black. Why are you playing him? I'm not playing him. I'm playing Space-Time Guy, Space-Time Pursuer. I'm playing this guy. You hardcast this guy from the hand to the field. And the reason he's really, really good in this deck because you either make it so shift abilities cost 0 of 1 target guy you control this turn, or you can put a 12 Apostle from your hand into the field, and then it gains swiftness until end of turn. That's the effect I use more than anything, because I combo with the other 12 Apostles I play in this deck, not Adon Brawley. There's no reason to really do that unless, of course, it's a clutch kind of moment that you need. But the reason is because targets in your deck and certain mechanics, like, I haven't really gone to all the cards yet, but you'll see sooner than later. So, yeah, so you don't play him, you play the other side. Next up, we got 1 Flame Dragon of Altea. Now, this may seem kind of out of place, and kind of like, why would you want to run it? It's as simple as this. It's a 12/12 flying body that's a 2-drop, essentially. It can be a 2-drop. So, or, sorry, a 3-drop at lowest. So, you can play this guy really easily. Plus, combo him with Flame King Shout. He gains swiftness and flying. He's 12/12. As a 1-of and searchable, there's no reason why there's a problem running this guy. If he wasn't searchable by Ruckegg in some way, if Ruckegg had a different wording or something saying you can't search this guy, I would never play him. But because he's searchable and I can get him at any time I want, as a 1-of, I think it's a good situational card that could clutch at points. Next up, 2 Captain Hook. We're running blue, and we have the ability to run it. So Captain Hook has, I think he's won me 1 game so far, where I just dropped this guy and it's just like turned the whole tide of the game around. And yeah, so Captain Hook is Captain Hook. He's really, really strong. That's enough needs to be said right there. People should already know that how strong he is. So now we're getting into the 12 Apostles here. So 2 Titania and 2 Alsaris. So these, I think, are the best ones for this deck because it's blue. This guy boosts up all of your other water resonators by 2/2, which is fairly relevant. Plus, you play lots of small drops that you could rest and cast her out for 1 easily. But the main one right here is Alsaris, is because when he enters the field, you can play a Fire Chant of total cost 3 or less from your removed area, and then play it for 0. So we play targets like Invitation to Disaster and Flame King Shout. So we can basically play a very optimal play here would be play him, get Alsaris out, trigger Flame King Shout, then get out Uther or something like that. So I get 3 resonators from 1 card essentially. Yes, he will get removed from the game at the end of turn, but it's okay. He did his job. And again, Invitation to Disaster, burn my opponent for 800, get that clutch in game, you know? And that's what Cheshire Cat's in there for all for. Trying to get stuff into my removed area faster so I can get my targets for my Alsaris and stuff like that, as well as dodging discard outlet decks as well by putting something I don't want discarded into my removed area. Because discard is a very relevant deck. So, yeah. So, I've loved this card so much. Like, I love this art. I think it's fantastic. And, yeah. I wanted to make a deck that could utilize this card, essentially. And the basis was behind it was Cheshire in this card. So, and everything else just flowed in. But yeah, he was the basis behind this whole entire deck. Next up, we're on to more of the chants / spells, whatever you want to call them. Charlotte's Water Transformation Magic. It's bear. You become a 4/4 bear. It's as simple as that. It's a good card. It's probably too good, to be honest. Like, I feel like this card, if it didn't have Remnant, essentially, but even that, it's just that it's the 1 cost that bothers me. If it was a 2 cost, I feel like it'd be a lot more fair. Just being as a 1 cost with Remnant just seems so good. So good. This card's really good, essentially, is all I'm trying to say. And then 2 Invitation to Disaster. This is one of your targets for Alsaris. You can never trigger the Awakening in this deck. If you really wanted to, you could bump up your Magic Stone lineup to 11 so that you could essentially just pour all your mana into this turn and just try to burn for 2,000. Again, I don't think there would ever be a need for that, but if you want that option, of course it's there as always. But I just always like getting that 800 out there because 800 is enough to usually kill a lot of resonators mid-game to early game, unless they're playing certain decks that just have high base resonators. And then again, having the option to burn your opponent for 800 could really put a lot of pressure on them, as well as putting you in a state where game is almost in the range. So, and then Flame King Shout. Nothing needs to really be said about this card. Is Flame King. Flame King just gets you out everything and trigger automatic abilities. It's really good. Plus swiftness. So I play 6 Regalia. Obviously, I'm playing Shion. So what do you think I'm playing? Hydromonica. Woohoo! It's Hydromonica. It stacks the top card of your deck. You discard another to draw a card. So it replaces itself. Get to look at the top card and then get rid of unnecessary stuff that you don't need at the time. At the same time, like all these like red cards I'm playing, like low, like Alsaris, Flame Dragon, Uther, like all these guys, like with this card even here, like 2, it just makes it so that I'm never gonna like brick with having these cards. Now, of course, there's always the chance of it happening, but this makes it a lot more consistent because I'm always knowing what I'm gonna have, and this lets me just say, hey, I don't want this right now because I know it's searchable at any time. So Hydromonica is super, super good. And then lastly, 2 Levitine. I want to play 2 Levitine because I want to be able to give Shion Imperishable so that I can do Shion's effect or slash ability. Sorry, I should say Judgment. I should say I want to do her Judgment again. And then she can also just deal damage in. So she can immediately like Judgment, get something in, Suicide, Imperishable, and then repeat, you know? So that's why. 2 Levitine. But yeah, so let me go into the last bit of the deck, the side deck. I think the side deck is really important in this deck because it has lots of hard matchups against control. So let's get straight into it. 2 sniping from the blind spot. So definitely want to play 2 of this to keep my opponent at the same basis that me. Again, control wouldn't. This is not really for control. This is more for the turbo decks. I don't want my opponent getting too much advantage over me, so this is just to keep them in line. Oops, there we go. And then I do play 1 more Cheshire Cat in the side deck in case I need more, because in some instances I really may need to turbo something. So this lets me, if I have another target in my deck, then I'm running more than 1, so I'm obviously going to see it more often. So if I just really want to turbo its effect and try to like end the game faster, I'll probably try to run this. And then 4 Lightning Strike. This is again if I want to try to change my matchup into a little bit of more of a burn matchup, as well as being able to handle those early turn like elves and stuff and try to like get their ramp out of the way and put them on the same bases as me so they're not getting ahead of me. So this also lets me get rid of their little guys, and then lets me able to predict their counter spells and stuff like that, or their plays a little bit more, because they're on the same basis of me and not like 2 turns ahead because of ramp. So Lightning Strike's always good. Next up, 3 Red Boy. Board wipes is essentially the thing here. Plus having a big body. The reason I chose Red Boy for this job is also because it has first strike, so that Cheshire can also get that kind of ability off of him. So that's another thing. But again, we're playing like red, blue, and white, so it's gonna be doing like 800 board wipe. So it's like a flame trap, but huge. Big. He's a big boy. So essentially. Then 2 Glorious. Love this card. If you've seen it in my other videos, you know I love this card. Love it. So good. Just be able to get out of problematic stuff and put that stuff that's putting you on a lot of pressure. Just drop this on them. Get rid of their problematic thing. Have a nice presence on your side of the board. Awesome. And then for the last little bit of the white cards, we got 2 Interdimensional Escape. I need some board wipes here and there. If Red Boy can't get the job done, Interdimensional Escape will definitely get the job done. So get rid of all of that stuff. Put them entirely back. Boom. And Interdimensional Escape is really good. And then lastly, the 2 Fairy of Sacred Vision. This is for those chance standbys essentially. It does get rid of additions as well. So if I really need to get rid of a Wind Secluded Refugee or something, because those J-Ruler matchups aren't the best either. So I've noticed 2 things about this deck is that Yggdrasil and J-Ruler decks are hard matchups for this deck. But there's not much else you can do. But the side deck is basically generated around its bad matchups, essentially. It's because Interdimensional Escape and Glorious really help with the Yggdrasil matchup, while at the same time, the Lightning Strike really helps with the J-Ruler matchup, because I can try to like burn my opponent down, so that all my resonators aren't doing all the damage, essentially. But yeah, this is my little Shion's 12 Apostles / Minion deck, whatever you really want to call it. I haven't really like set in stone a name yet, but yeah, I'm probably gonna go with Shion's Minions. But it's a really, really fun deck, and I encourage you guys to test it out for yourselves and see how it goes. But yeah, let me know in your comments if you have any suggestions for this deck or any other little ideas that you think that could really work well in this deck. I'm always open to ideas. I'm really happy with the build right now. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and a comment, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.